All right, so second part, I believe, therefore I am. If you could be anyone, who would you be? Something for you to think about. Angela is here, okay. So why? There are so many constant demands, from everywhere that we can lose track of our identity and the confusion of our lives, the search for happiness. And as we observe the life of cells, their existence is controlled by the physical and energetic environment around them, okay? So the cellular awareness of the environment is what will make them happy or not, healthy or not. And that same thing happens to us. Our quality of life depends on what we think about the environment that we are in. All right? So our environment will define if we are happy, healthy, loved, prosperous, or anything else. The difference between us and the cell is our consciousness. We can change our lives by changing our awareness, our beliefs. So when we understand that, all the different situations in life, either if they are nice or not, we understand that they are created with the only intention of helping us grow spiritually. That's the only thing that they exist for. Any kind of sickness, any kind of trouble, any kind of happiness, everything that happens in your life has the only objective of teaching you to be a more evolved creature. Okay? When you see life through this kind of perspective, you can literally choose how to experience all of these situations. We cannot change many of the things that need to happen to us. But how we deal with that, yes, completely. So I can have a serious disease, for example, and I can make that hell. I can be complaining about it. I can be self-destructive and blaming everything and everyone. Or I can say, yeah, fine, I'm still here. And when I'm not, I'm not. I'll be somewhere else. And what can I do to go through this the best way I can? All right, so that does actually change how everything happens to you. I had times in my life when I was very prosperous. I had a lot of money. And I was not ever so unhappy as when I was full of money. Okay, so it's inside of you. It doesn't matter what's happening outside. It matters how you are inside of yourself. Okay, so that's something for us to think about. By the evolution of the cell, let's talk about this. Each cell is intelligent. They have some kind of intelligence. Everybody here believes that we are not our bodies. You can put your hand up if I see you. Do you believe that you're a spirit free from physical form and now you're just wearing this body? Do you believe in that?
Yes.
Angela, yes.
Yes, definitely.
Maria, not so much? I'm not can hear you.
Yeah, I'm still kind of thinking about it.
Okay, all right.
I believe it absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Okay, why is that important? Because what I'm going to tell you will kind of, be a shock to you. You know that we are made up of cells, right? We have about 50 trillion cells or something like that. All right, so each cell of that is an individual. It has intelligence. It has awareness, okay? That cell thinks and communicates with other cells. And that cell is a spirit like us, is like one of us. The only difference is that they are younger than us. They're much younger. They are learning to be. We are learning to be angels, okay? We are learning to be angels. They are learning to be. And then they're gonna eventually come into the plant life and eventually into animal life and to us. This will take a long time. We don't know how long, but it does happen. So imagine that you have at this moment your manifestation here on Earth is done through 50 trillion people that get together to make that possible for you. Weird, right? Okay, you don't have to take everything, like for now, you can just take this as me saying that to you. So later you talk, think about it and read about that and come up with your own understanding, all right? So why is that important? Because the more awareness the cell has about the environment, the better the chances of survival of that cell. So when cells get together, that awareness, increases immensely. Now let's talk about evolution. Evolution of the fittest, or evolution of cooperation. Everybody knows about Darwin, right? So he's the most known scientist that talked about the laws of evolution. But the first to establish evolution was Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. Lamarck not only did that 50 years before Darwin, but he had a much less severe theory. He had a theory based on instructive, cooperative interaction between organisms, not only organisms from the same species, but from other species. That's what we have understood now, all right? We understand that we share DNA with other species. For example, our gut bacteria. We share DNA with them, and they share their DNA with us. So when we eat something that has an altered DNA, that can affect the bacteria, and that will affect our DNA. You see what I'm getting? So all of this food that they are altering, that's not very nice, because we actually don't know what will happen with all of this DNA tampering they are doing. All right. So that's very, very difficult situation for us. So we share this information, this evolutionary information with other species, not only with the same species that we have. Okay, is that clear for you guys? That will accelerate immensely the progression of the species. All of this tampering of genetics do create a lot of problems. We may talk a little bit more about this later. Evolving together. So we have another researcher, Mart Nowak, from the Harvard program for evolutionary dynamics. And he divided the population into cooperators, those who support others, and defectors, those who do not support other people or other individuals. So he discovered that the cooperators are prevalent in evolution. They do better. All right, so when we get together and work together, we have a better result. And that applies to single organisms till human beings. All right, how we work together will make our strength. Let's talk a little bit about protein. So protein is the building block of life. It's the most important component of the living organisms. But how do they work? Well, the protein structure will allow the protein to get into different shapes, like the spine of a snake, very flexible. And there are two factors that determine the shape of the protein: the physical pattern of the amino acids that make it up, or also the interaction of the electromagnetic charges between the amino acids. So they have positive or negative charges, and like magnets, they will repel or attract according to that electromagnetic charge. So by doing that, as the amino acids are flexible, it will change shape according to that kind of interactions. And we're going to see why that is important. What is life? Well, the difference from living organisms and matter, inert matter, is the way they move, is movement. And changing the shape of the proteins creates the movement that the cells use to produce what we call the movement of life, like breathing, digestion, muscle contraction. All of the things that are done by living organisms is done using this capacity of the protein of changing shape. All right? And we know that they change shape through electromagnetic charge that can be altered by hormones, for example, or also by electromagnetic fields, which is extremely important to us because that's what we work with. Do you know about epigenetics? No? Okay. So we're going to learn a little bit. So
Yes, yes, I do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Genetics, we have the assumption that we have a flow of information from one way only. All right, so from DNA to RNA and then to the protein. So that thinking is extremely important because the DNA can define the physical experiences, but not vice versa. Okay, this experience cannot define or change the DNA, right? Maybe not. Because we learned from epigenetics that the environmental influences can modify the genes, and these modifications will go through future generations. Okay, so that is something that we have learned. This is science. This is not, I wish, no, it's science. And then we have what? The primacy of the environment. That means what? The information that controls biology begins in the environment, not inside the DNA. Because the DNA is controlled by proteins that like cover the DNA. When this DNA is covered by the proteins, nothing happens. Something must happen to these proteins change shape and then uncover the DNA so it can be read and used by the cell. Can you understand that? Yeah? Okay.
Yes, I understand.
So it's something that we are not used to think about. And something that's very, very important is that RNA can go against the flow and rewrite the DNA. So can you imagine taking some shots that can do that? And what can actually do to us? You know?
So that made me think of the spike proteins, right?
Yes.
That are in a lot of the manipulations out there and how they can directly affect the DNA, period.
Yes.
So from what you're saying here, I'm understanding that even if someone didn't have a shot, the spike proteins that are emitted through shedding can still affect the DNA of other people and
Yeah.
change their DNA just by being around them.
Yes.
Am I following the same logic?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
And yeah, that is
Yeah, that's
true.
pretty
We
crazy.
have evidence in that sense. Yeah. Physical contact, sex, everything. Yeah. And just
Thank you.
chatting, yes. Just being you.
Okay.
So basically, we are all not the same humans we were before.
Yeah, exactly.
We are changed. Let's
Oh.
see into what? No? Well, let's see.
Well, is there a correlation between what we've been changed to with a lessening of consciousness?
I believe the intention was that.
Okay.
But I also believe that everyone will do or what feels like doing. Like we are working with light here, right? Me, you, everyone here. But there are other people that want to work with the darkness. That's fine. And they are trying to do this. They're trying to smother the light within human race. Okay. Are they being able to do so? Only to those who go with the flow. So that's why it's so important to develop ourselves within ourselves. It's changing what you have inside of you that will change the world around you, not the other way around. You cannot have change on this planet from the out within. No, it's from within going out. You change yourself. And actually, Michael Jackson had a song about this, right? Change
Yes.
the man in the mirror, right? So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, you have to, and that's the only change you can have. You cannot change anything else. You can only do this. Change yourself. So learn what you can, try new things, think about everything, about what they say. We are in constant brainwashing machine through everything, the government, TV, news, it's horrifying. Everything is a lie. Even the most simple things like archaeology. Why they lie about this? Do you guys know that we have pyramids in Europe? Do you know about this?
I recently heard about it, but I didn't grow up knowing it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And we know this for a long time. But no one
Oof.
talks about it. It's not allowed to talk about this. Because then we're gonna see that we have pyramids everywhere. So who's the civilization that did this? You know? So it's very complex. But we need to start thinking. All of us, we need to start thinking and think again and again and get information from everywhere and trust no one, only your reason. Okay? Hear everything from everywhere, even the fake news media. Yeah, go ahead. Listen to that. No problem. But use your mind. Think about this. What they are saying, why they are saying what they say. What's the objective behind what they're doing? Everything has a purpose. So why they are doing this? All right, so try to understand what's going on and why they need to have us less than we are, basically. Okay? Now,
Thank you.
the cellular vision, how cells see things. Well, the cell membrane, they have proteins that will allow nutrients, waste, and other kind of information cross the membrane. So there will be equivalent of our eyes, ears, nose, and they function like antennae, and they will, receive specific signals from the environment. They can respond to physical signs, but also they can read vibrational energy fields, light, sounds, and also frequencies. Okay, so these receptors can read energy fields, so the biological behavior can be controlled by invisible forces like your thoughts. We know it's an electromagnetic field. When you think, you create an electromagnetic field. All right. So it can be controlled by your thinking or also by something that you take by mouth. You see? Both can do this, can have an impact on the functioning of your body. And that is the scientific basis for the energy medicine. Because everything will react, the cell will react to energy fields. And when we do Reiki, when we do Solaris, we are doing energy field work. And that will impact the body. The cell will read that and will act accordingly. Okay? We know, for example, that the cell membrane is a liquid crystal semiconductor with gates and channels. Also, we know that a computer chip is a crystal semiconductor with gates and channels. So it's basically the same thing. The cell membrane is a structural and functional equivalent of a silicon chip. Also, we know that these chips are programmable. So where is the one that makes the commands to the computer? Who's programming the computer? The person inside? There's a person inside the computer? No. You're outside. You're touching here our computers, right? We are not inside the computer. We are outside. The same thing happens to the cell. Who is controlling that? Okay. This is very interesting because it tells us about something very important, which is Michael Levin, he's a biologist, and in 2011, he actually made completely developed eyes in the backs and tails of tadpoles. Okay? And how did they do this? He did this by changing the bioelectric voltage of the cell membranes in that area. Why? Because he had observed that when the eyes were forming, the electric field in that area of the tadpoles changed. He applied that change to the back, and then was born an eye in the back of the tadpole. Can you understand what we're talking about here? So that is the bioelectric map of creation. We'll be able to create a full organ just by applying the electric currents necessary for that to happen. When we have the electric map of our bodies. No more transplants. No more needs for anything of this medicine that we use. Nothing. We can do everything with energy fields. All right, so we are starting to understand this. But of course, that will change everything in our lives. So that is something that we need kind of a revolution. So yeah, maybe after some big thing happens that is coming. So yeah, maybe we're gonna have that. So let's talk about the illusion of matter. Quantum physics discovered that the atoms are vortices of energy. They are constantly rotating, vibrating, radiating energy, and it has a specific signature. In everything has a signature. Me, you, everything has a unique signature. That will be very important when we study the identity identifiers in cells. So if we focus on the material substance of the things that we are holding, everything that you're holding there, now look at it, your table, your chair, your phone. If you try to see matter in those things, there is none. There is no matter in this phone. There's nothing here. This is an energy field. That's all. Can you understand this? Do you know that all the matter that are contained in our planet, if it is taken from the atoms and put together, we will make a little ball like this of the whole planet. You know, of course, because when you try to get something, I'm not touching this phone. I'm holding it, but I'm not touching it. Because the atoms will not get together. They do not touch. What touch are energy fields, right? I don't know if you guys are understanding what I'm saying. It's a bit dense, yes. It's a bit confusing. But when you touch something, if you try to see with a microscope, There is no contact between my fingers and the phone. There is still a lot of space. So what am I actually holding? I'm holding an electric magnetic field. The field created by the atoms here and the atoms here. I'm not touching matter. This is not matter. This is energy. It's now in a form that we see as matter. And then we can go through the rabbit hole and think, who is making this? If this is just energy and it's not an object, who's making it look like an object? We can go, but that will be, like go into Wonderland. So for now, it's just, this is just physics. This is just very simple and understandable, okay? And this is known for everyone that works in science with physics. We don't touch an object. There's a space between us. It's just the energy field, okay? And that means what? Means that matter is just an illusion. It's just an illusion. It is simultaneously a solid, a particle, and a wave, a field at the same time. So the universe is indivisible and dynamic, and matter and energy are so entangled that it is impossible to consider those things as independent elements. They are one and the same thing. They are like ice and water, the same thing, different states. Okay? And the medicine of the future will be the one that perceives and uses these interactions of energy vibrations in the balance of health and disease, because the universe is made of energy. Too much?
No, it's perfect.
Okay, we are about to make another break, okay? Another 2 minutes, and we're gonna do another break. Come back to the same link, okay, guys? And we're gonna start now the quantum physics and medicine. We know that the physical sciences have achieved, results, amazing results with quantum physics, like the cell phones we use, all of that. But the biomedical science have used what of all of this knowledge? Basically nothing, just very little. As we talked about the manifestation of a disease such as cancer, will appear in the physical when we see and feel the tumor. But the process that created that disease have initiated at the molecular level long time ago. All right. And we have hundreds and hundreds of scientific studies over the last 50 years that show that invisible forces of the electromagnetic spectrum have a concrete effect on biology of living beings. So frequency, electromagnetic fields will regulate the synthesis of DNA, RNA, and proteins, and that will control the gene regulation, cell division, differentiation, morphogenesis, hormone secretions, growth, and nerve function. Okay? We're going to stop now and going to come back in a minute. See you guys in a bit.